What a dooski, guys, it's Feral34 here with my movie review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So the story for this one is, the Guardians are hired by a powerful alien race, the Sovereign, and are called to protect an item. Problems ensue as the Guardians try to escape, and we discover more of the mystery of Peter's parentage. So guys, before we start, I just want to say that I'm a pretty huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, just the team and the first film. When they first announced the movie a couple years ago, I was really hyped because I was reading the ongoing comic, I was a fan of the 08 run. So once I heard they're getting, their first film in the MCU, I was so hyped. I told all my friends, I promoted the hell out of it for like that 2-3 year time span. Realistically, I probably made Marvel like a good amount of money just from like word of mouth, Anyway, come this week and the sequel Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 comes out, and I wasn't all too hyped for it, so I had no real expectations going in. So first thing, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is super enjoyable, and I'm pretty sure that many people are going to tell you that. This film is a pretty fun ride. The action sequences are solid and fun, and with regards to the humor, it's in the same vein as the first movie. In some cases, I actually found myself laughing harder at some of the jokes than I did in the first film. With regards to the visuals, this movie looks great. This is a very bright and colorful movie right from the jump in the opening credit sequence. It is worth noting that this was shot with an entirely new camera, the Red 8K if I'm not mistaken. Because of this and James Gunn's vision, some of the sceneries look fantastic. I really love the look of the Marvel Cosmic Universe, and I think they got it down pat. A bunch of the aliens that we see, like the Sovereign, look dope. We also see a scene in the movie where we see the OG Ravengers on a planet with Yondu, and that was probably one of my favorite interactions in the movie and the sceneries because it looks so awesome. I love the whole snow layout, the other designs of the aliens that we see. One thing that I enjoyed about this sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy was we get to dive deeper and more into these characters, and we get to learn a little bit more about them and why they do certain things and about their past. And it's because of this deeper look into the characters that we get some really great character interactions here and there, but especially in the last 40 minutes or so. Something else that I liked about this movie was it was just awesome to get a look at these characters again, these people that we fell in love with the first time around, just to interact and be with this, these band of misfits once more, and seeing them all interact with each other. Acting-wise, I think Chris Pratt did a solid job this time around. We get a lot more out of him, especially emotionally, as he starts learning more about his parents, more about himself, his actual role with the other Guardians, and how he's supposed to be this leader and how he's known in the galaxy. We see all those a little bit explored in this film, and is really shown in his acting. As well as I mentioned, like learning about his fatherhood, like where was his father this whole time? How was it to be brought up without one, etc. We kind of dive into those a little. Speaking of father, Kurt Russell does a fine job, although I wish they did give him a little bit more to do and was written slightly better, as he does have quite a bit of exposition. By far in this movie, standout performances and characters go to Michael Rooker. He is hands down the best part. Yondu's arc in this film, to his interactions with Star-Lord and some of the other Guardians, and his action sequences are just phenomenal. Lastly, there are some awesome Easter eggs that are riddled throughout this thing that I think many people will catch and some that people may not. I'm not gonna go dive into them because this is a relatively spoiler-free review, but they're pretty cool, and as you may have heard, there's about 5 of them. Also, one quick thing in this film that I liked was actually Nebula. She gets a lot more time to shine in this film, which I did like. We get to learn more about her backstory, and you really feel for the character. But there were some issues that I have with it that I'll talk about in a second with regards to some of that and some of the other sequences that were more dramatic and have emotion heavy in this film. I actually liked her bumped up role in this film. However, I'm still not the biggest fan of Karen Gillan's performance. I think the way she's like written is a little over the top in the way she performs. Although I love Karen Gillan, I think she's a phenomenal actor. Call me. Alright guys, so let's go dive into some of the things that I didn't think worked the best in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So we know these characters, we know what the Guardians are supposed to be. It's meant to be funny. But there's way too many jokes in this thing, to be honest. It's meme tier. Really. Not that there's like... There's a lot of jokes, and some of them hit really well, and there's quite a bit of them that do, but then there's a lot of them that just don't land and are like interjected in points where they're not supposed to be. It started to bother me more as the movie progressed. Furthermore, as I mentioned, this movie does have a lot of emotional moments riddled throughout it. However, a lot of them do get ruined by these jokes just being thrown into the mix out of nowhere, or by the end of them. There wasn't very much substantial plot in this, and the pacing was a little weird. Literally 10 minutes in, Peter's dad is introduced, and an hour goes by on this planet. Well, there's these character moments, but like I mentioned, for a lot of them, because of these jokes, a lot of the emotional resonance or weight to them, they just fall flat and they don't work well with the flow of the film, and 1 or 2 of them actually feeling fairly forced. Speaking of flow, something that made the first Guardians of the Galaxy work so well was the music. I think all of the songs, especially the opening intro, and even the score towards the end against Warden, were all very memorable, and they worked well and flowed well within the film. This time around, I didn't like the song selection apart from maybe 2 songs. Connecting back to the first act and the second being rather clunky, I don't think that all the themes and components from the first film carried over into this one all too well and were executed the best. Connecting back to the visuals, like I mentioned, I think they were pretty beautiful and they're well done. However, at 1 or 2 points, I'm not gonna lie, things got a little jarring, especially in the space battles or at 1 or 2 moments on the planet. Something that really surprised me was how some of the characters in this were really throwaways. For example, would be Drax. He's essentially a quit machine rather than the destroyer he's meant to be. I wish he would have had a little bit more to do in this, but... Another thing, and this honestly really surprised me, it was Groot. Or should I say Baby Groot, as he's being, you know, that's what he is in the entire film. I didn't really like him all too much, which is really weird because I'm a huge fan of Groot and I love him in the first film. Baby Groot just didn't work for me. Now don't get me wrong. He's cute as shit. He's a cute little twig, right? He's super cute. He has the funny moments here and there. But apart from that, I mean, he doesn't really have all too much to do. And he really isn't in this movie all too much. So Ego, I mentioned I thought he was cool and Kurt Russell did an awesome job. However, I thought his motivations were kind of basic, kind of off. I mean, I don't know if the motivations really made the most sense too. The Sovereign are cool, but are more or less just a waste and there to set up a huge character in the MCU going forward. Lastly, I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is rather forgettable with the stakes not being all too high and some of the clunky execution. Overall, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a fun and enjoyable movie with the same team we all love. However, this time around it doesn't work as well as they double down on the humor and not so much on everything else. I'm gonna give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 a 7 out of 10. And guys, that was my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. What did you think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Did you agree with me on some points, some things you disagreed? Let me know your thoughts. I'm really interested to see what you guys thought. Yeah guys, I have to say, if you haven't seen this movie, if you're a fan of the first Guardians, I think you'll enjoy this one. If you like it more so than the first or not, I think you have to watch it for yourself to make your own decision. I personally didn't like it as much as the first film, although I did enjoy it and I had some laughs. I just saw a lot of glaring issues with this film. And like I said, I still give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's still a good movie, but there was just some issues with it. I'd say give it a watch, definitely if you're into the Marvel movie. It's definitely at least worth a matinee. I think you should go watch it. Anyway guys, thank you so much for checking out this movie review. If there's another movie you want me to see next week in review, let me know in the comment section down below and I'll try my best. Anyway guys, I will see you next time. Peace.